Hello again, Dolphin fans. Welcome back to the channel. If you have not already, please go back and watch my film breakdown on Miami Dolphins first round pick, Kenneth Grant. I went back and watched, I believe it was 7 games total, posted some of my favorite plays from that, and just kind of broke down the Dolphins' current situation at defensive tackle. If you could, please go back, check that out, and get acclimated to what the Miami Dolphins just drafted in the first round. But now that that is said and done, we are going to break down the Miami Dolphins' second round pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And this one was obviously a huge need for the Dolphins. We knew coming into this draft they were absolutely going to draft an offensive lineman at some point. But never again did I think that maybe we would see Chris Grier do what he's done before in a Liam Eichenberg situation and move up to take an offensive guard. But that's exactly what they did. They traded the 37th pick in the 2025 NFL draft and the 143rd pick to the Las Vegas Raiders for the 48th overall pick, the 98th overall pick, which is a third rounder, and the 135th pick in the fourth round. Obviously, that's a lot to give up for any player, but the Dolphins felt like Jonah Savaiinaea was the best player available on the board, and according to some reports that have started to leak out, it actually sounds like the New England Patriots were ready to take him. So shout out to Chris Grier, Mike McDaniel, I guess, for seeing the vision, for having, for realizing that was the player they wanted to add to this offense. And, as you watch this film, as you watch this tape, you can definitely see what the Dolphins' vision here. I have, I believe, 3 games. One of those is a Senior Bowl. There's some one-on-one reps that you'll see at the end of this. Again, Senior Bowl, you're going to get some of the best in the game, some of the top prospects. He has a little bit of an up and down day, but again, you can still see why the Dolphins are bringing him in and how this could absolutely be an upgrade over the unit the Dolphins currently have, which again, I mentioned Liam Eichenberg. He's fine, right? He's fine being that Jesse Davis, that 6th, 7th guy, but you do not want to see him starting again in 2025, and it doesn't seem like we will, right? We got James Daniels on one side. You're now bringing in Jonah Savaiinaea, who, again, he has some versatility. In this tape, you'll see him play right tackle, you'll see him play left tackle, you also see him play guard, but it is clear as day that he is a better player at guard. Some of those outside edge rushers, I don't know if it's the speed, sometimes it's the strength, catches him off guard, he gets beat sometimes around the edge. Not sure you'll see a lot of that throughout this video because I did try to keep it kind of positive, but again, the Senior Bowl stuff, you'll see when he gets matched up one-on-one against some of those guys, you can see that maybe struggles a little bit, but he's a young player, right? I believe 21 years old, a guy who his entire career has blocked for Polynesian quarterbacks, and I know that doesn't mean much, right? But the fact that him and Tua Tagovailoa, they come from the same culture. They both, I think they already knew each other prior to this. And Savaiinaea just seems like a quiet assassin, a guy that's going to go out there, play between the whistles, and just absolutely bully players. You can see the way he can move some of those defensive linemen. I mean, one of the things I like most is kind of the way he can snap them out of position and, open up those running lanes, as you'll see throughout this video. And I don't want to say that he can't play tackle. I mean, we've seen, I believe, Jackson Carman start games. I mean, we've seen, we've had Jesse Davis play tackle. We've seen the Liam Eichenberg at once. There are worse things that you could have for the Miami Dolphins that we've literally seen with our own eyes than Jonah Savaiinaea starting at one of the tackle positions. But I feel like if you can keep Patrick Paul healthy, Austin Jackson can stay healthy, then you have James Daniels and Savaiinaea between those guard spots, and then Aaron Brewer in the middle. I mean, I feel very, very good about that offensive line, but it all comes down to health, right? And also how quickly these guys pick up the playbook. I mean, I thought maybe the Dolphins would double down in this draft and maybe bring in another offensive lineman, but that wasn't the case because they must feel very, very strongly about the guys in the room. They signed Daniels, who is, established. I would like to see him play next to Patrick Paul. But then they also brought in Larry Bourne, who has a little bit of, experience. And, some have questioned whether he could play guard. So the best players are going to play. We always hear that. But I have, it seems like right now, just based off of the little bit of tape I've seen, and I say little, but I've watched about 5 games now. Based on the tape I've seen, based on the stuff I've read, it sounds like, this guy's most likely going to be your starting guard. And for the future, I mean, this is the type of player the Dolphins needed to draft here. I mean, I hate that, you look at the first round pick, Kenneth Grant. I know people are upset, why you let Christian Wilkins go. You have to film here. This is kind of a similar situation, right? Rob Hunt, one of our favorite players, one of our best offensive linemen that Chris Grier has ever drafted, they let go. And, I mean, again, you understand it, the money, the things like that, the Dolphins roster, cap situation was absolutely effed. But to see him walk away and then have to come in and, be forced to replace that, be forced to move up and get this guy who, at one point, let's just close our eyes and pretend that's Robert Hunt, right? And then I talked about his versatility. I have pulled up here. Chad Reuter of NFL.com said that he has the body of a right guard, and you can definitely see that. But started all 12 games in 2022 at right guard, started 13 games in 2023, 3 at right guard, 10 at right tackle, and then started 11 games in 2024, 5 at left tackle, 6 at right tackle, and was named team MVP. So unfortunately, I can't go back and get a lot of that guard play. I mean, the best I could do is the Senior Bowl, but I would love to go back and see how he held up and, see the natural position he's going to play for Miami, see more of that film. So there's probably a very good chance I'm going to come back later in the season during the dead period and, dive in some more Jonah Savaiinaea tape. But I'm going to be honest, like, if there was one position that I would admit that I'm not very knowledgeable at, you don't understand their roles, honestly, maybe some of these plays you don't even know if they won or lost. I mean, it would have to be the offensive line play. But again, you don't have to be an absolute offensive line guru to see that this guy is an absolute mauler. 6'4", 324 pounds. Ranked the 10th offensive tackle at the Combine per Next Gen Stats. I think they broke down all their little, the bench press and the 40 times and things like that. You can see the way, and he does it throughout this entire tape. He can kind of turn the defensive lineman, almost steer them however he deems fit. So, again, I think there's still some tools there, still some development. Obviously, he's a rookie, right? There's still some development to his game to come. But you're sitting here now. You have a day one starter on defense that you got in round 1. Now you have your offensive guard. There was that rep I mentioned. He just got absolutely beat. Another one where he kind of knocked back flat foot. So, there's still some rawness to his game, but this is him playing tackle. He's not going to be playing tackle in the NFL. He's going to be playing the guard. I think he even mentioned how that's, his natural fit there at guard. So, again, that's what the Dolphins needed. We all love the versatility. There he just got worked again. So you can see that, at times he gets beat with power. Sometimes he gets beat with speed. But a lot of the times he's that guy that's anchoring down, steering those defensive linemen, opening up those holes, and he fits this offense to a T. Some other quick nuggets from the Miami Dolphins official website. He was a 3-year starter at Arizona, played in 36 games with 35 starts, played in 12 games with 11 starts in 2024, won all Big 12-10 honors, and back in 2023 helped Arizona get to their first 10-3 record, 10 wins. And then back in 2023, started all 13 games and helped Arizona get their first 10-win season since 2014 and 4th in program history. So I know that doesn't all fall on the offensive lineman, but goodness gracious, I mean, to hear this guy can change things, and I think that's what we'll see here. Here's his play from the Senior Bowl, which again, I think he looks much more natural at guard. You can see how good he is, getting those double teams, getting to the next level, opening up holes and things like that. But one of my favorite things about the Senior Bowl was that they did move him around. They let him play throughout the game, going against different guys, some that we saw throughout the week and in practice. And if you like those practice reps, I can probably go back and get a little bit more, but I try my best to go back and find some film that you can sit here, watch, and get a very good grasp of who. Just love the way he takes on, when there's stunts up front, the way he can, kind of control himself. And to me, it seems like that's one of his better things, the way he's able to pick up those stunts and not get off balance, really. Here he's getting out in space. And that's it. I know for my Kenneth Grant breakdown, I did a Pokemon comp, and that Pokemon comp was Snorlax with rocket skates. So for this one seems pretty obvious. I've seen it going around. So, Chee-hoo! Jonah Savaiinaea is Maui. That's my comp. I hope he can, be that demigod for the Miami Dolphins, protect Tua Tagovailoa, and, help get this run game going and get this offense back to where it was a few years ago. Because let's be honest, at one point, we're sitting here calling Mike McDaniel a genius. We're sitting here thinking that Tua Tagovailoa could be an MVP candidate. You're seeing everything click, and then last season, it all went crashing down. So, huge season ahead. Think the Dolphins did well with this. Obviously, would have liked to keep some picks. Hoped he had fell to 48, but as all reports sound, teams were going to come after him, right? He was going to get drafted right around this time. If he wasn't a Dolphin, it sounds like he was going to be a Patriot, and no one, not even with Kenneth Grant now in the lineup, not even with that defensive line looking the way it is, wanted to see Jonah Savaiinaea in a New England Patriots jersey. So kudos to Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel for going up there, seeing their guy, Butch Berry, too. I mean, for having enough faith that this is that missing piece of that offensive line. I agree with them. Again, would rather not see him play at tackle, but the stuff that he can do at guard, he's only going to get better, and I'm excited. These first 2 picks, in my opinion, were exactly what the Dolphins needed. Not the sexiest picks. You can understand why those grades going around, say C-. I think C- was the lowest, but C, a lot of them, the overall GPA as the Dolphins like bottom 5, and that to me is absolutely crazy when you look at the home run picks, at least based on their college performance, based on paper, based on how I project them to fit in Miami. A pretty damn good draft for Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer. But now we sit back and wait, right? Now we had to wait a few rounds. I will dive into the tape of Jordan Phillips. We got another Jordan Phillips, Dante Trader Jr., Jason Marshall, Quinn Ewers. I've been butchering that name all week, so already working on that type of stuff. So please hit this. Already working on that type of stuff. So please hit the bell to be notified every time a new one drops. Please let me know in the comments how you feel about these players. Maybe what videos you want to see moving down the line, because again, I still have the entire free agency class outside of quarterback 2 for now, Zach Wilson. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of, we're going to call it a film breakdown, Take It to the House style, right here on my Take It to the House YouTube channel. If you like what you're listening to, please subscribe. I will be back later in the week to break down Jordan Phillips and maybe Dante Trader Jr. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, fins up.